I'm here with a formal invitation. And want to invite you into the second season.
I believe you have one final frontier yet to come.
Hey everyone, and welcome to What Did I Miss?, where today I'll be breaking down all the Easter eggs and clues in the newest trailer for the second season of Star Trek Picard, which will be released starting on March 3rd of 2022. If you do follow the channel, you know that I said in a community post that I was taking January off while I move into a studio that I'm building in my new home. But this trailer was so good that I felt the call to action. If you do enjoy this video, you can help me out by hitting that like button, and if this is your first time here, make sure that you subscribe to be kept up to date on everything Star Trek in 2022. The trailer begins with the La Sirena, the ship owned by Cristobal Rios, under attack by 3 Federation-looking ships. These ships look very similar to the design of the USS Zhang He Inquiry-class ship that we saw Captain Riker show up in at the end of the first season of Picard. Among the crew is 7 of 9, who does not have her Borg implants in, as we have seen in prior trailers, so this tells us that this battle must be taking place in an alternate universe. Then we see what looks like the La Sirena skimming across the surface of a sun, which I think is a big clue and an Easter egg that I'll discuss a bit later on when I talk about my theories about this upcoming season. Next, there's a shot of someone reaching out towards a necklace cut in between a bunch of shots of Picard. I'm not sure what this necklace is or means, but the person in the back almost looks like they are wearing an astronaut's cap, and the hand does have a glove on it. This leads me to believe that this may be a shot of Earth's past, and perhaps the event that changes everything this season. There's also an interesting shot of Brent Spiner, and as of now, I don't think we know exactly who in the Soong family he is playing here. Besides playing Data, as well as his 2 brothers Lore and Before, Mr. Spiner has also played various members of the Soong family who are responsible for the development of the technology that led to Data and eventually what Picard is now. The members of the Soong family that we have met have not always been as trustworthy as Data, and there are a few other clues in this trailer that this character may be one of the antagonists of this season. Then Picard wakes up as if this has all been a dream, and he is in his chateau under protective dome, which looks to be made of many connected hexagons. This leads me to believe that whatever changed in Earth's history changed the objective of the planet's space organization from one of exploration to one of protection. The Enterprise episode Demons introduced an extremist xenophobic terrorist organization named Terra Prime, whose objective was to expel all non-humans from Earth and our solar system. Their logo contained a shot of the Earth within a triangle, and a hexagon could be created by turning 6 triangles inward, which may be a hint that the Terra Prime movement is not only partially responsible for this new government, but that it grew in support after whatever events in the past were changed. Picard walks around and into his study and finds a painting of what is probably the Enterprise in battle, although this appears to be a modified version of the ship, as I do not believe that the Enterprise D that we know had as many phaser banks. In the movie Star Trek Into Darkness, which took place in the J.J. Abrams alternate Kelvin timeline, we saw in that universe a Federation that was secretly building for war. In doing so, they also created a massive ship that was built for battle named the USS Vengeance, which this version of the Enterprise seems to be a bit more like. If this universe is built around a xenophobic, militaristic governing body, then it would make sense that they would also design ships built for battle and not exploration. Coincidentally, in the movie Into Darkness, actor Peter Weller played the villain and CO of the USS Vengeance, Admiral Marcus, and he also played the xenophobic villain John Frederick Paxson in the Enterprise episode Demons that I just mentioned. And of course, he also played the most famous cyborg outside of the Borg collective, RoboCop. Yes, I stan Peter Weller. Then we see Q telling Picard that he is showing him the road not taken, which leads to a lot of quick shots of Seven as she states that reality has been broken. The fact that Seven, or Annika, as she was never assimilated in this timeline, is dressed in black leads me to believe that she may be working for the government and seems to be well off in this universe, which is a stark contrast to the life we saw her leading in Picard as a freedom fighter. The mirror she uses is also in the shape of a hexagon, like the shielding protecting the Earth, which again may be a hint that she's part of the government. Then we get a shot of Elnor running through a market and being shot at. If Earth is xenophobic, Elnor would have the most difficulty living there as a Romulan, and he is probably being chased down because of this. Earlier in this trailer and in the prior trailer, we see Raffi crying while tending to a hurt Elnor, so this may mean he gets injured gravely in this scene. If this is the case, it could mean that he dies before they travel back in time, and that changing the events of the past will also bring him back to life. And I believe he is the only cast member that we do not see in any of the shots of the cast in Los Angeles in the past. Then we see Picard come upon a City of Angels historical site and walk into a bar with a very familiar bartender, as we get the return of Whoopi Goldberg as Guinan, who of course knows that Jean-Luc Picard's favorite drink is hot Earl Grey tea. Miss Goldberg's inclusion in the season was all but confirmed all the way back in January of 2020, when on her talk show The View, Sir Patrick Stewart invited her to return. It was great to see her again as Guinan, but I'm really hoping that she and John Delancey's Q share a few scenes, as we never really got to understand the bad blood between the two that was teased in the Next Generation episode Q Who. She tells Picard that the answers he is looking for are not in the stars, and never have been, as she pours him a drink. Then we see a shot of the La Serena emerging from a portal once again above the sun. I believe that this right here lets us know exactly how the crew is able to time travel, and that it may not be with the help of the Borg Queen, as most everyone had guessed. I think that this is proof that the crew are using the slingshot around the sun technique that the crew of the Enterprise used in the movie The Voyage Home. In that movie, the crew, who were on a commandeered Klingon bird of prey that was renamed the Bounty, was able to gain enough speed and propel their ship around the sun and into the past, specifically 1986. Even the quick shots of Picard on the ship look similar to the style of filming used to show the crew travel back in time in that movie. Then we see Picard arrive on Earth in the year 2024. All we really know about this time period in the history of Star Trek is that in September of this year, the Bell Riots will take place in San Francisco, California, something shown on the Deep Space Nine episode Past Tense. The Bell Riots were a watershed movement for the human race, as it exposed many injustices taking place in America, and if something happened that changed the course of history and did not allow this event to occur, it would have massive ramifications for the development of the society. And I think in the next shot we finally see what event was changed, which was first contact with an alien race, as we see a Vulcan male approach a young boy in the dark. In the main Star Trek universe, first contact with the Vulcans did not happen for almost 40 years after this, and was shown in the movie Star Trek First Contact. The timing is very important actually, because Earth will become a much different planet in the 40 years between the Bell Riots and the events of First Contact. After the Bell Riots, the Earth endures a Third World War, which wipes out most of the population and major cities. But the war also teaches the survivors that striving for superiority and nationalism leads to genocide. So even though a movement like Terra Prime is created after this, most of the planet welcomes being part of a larger universe. If First Contact is made before the Third World War, the Earth is probably not yet ready to accept aliens with open arms, especially while the governments of the world are trying to feed their own people. Also, we see the Vulcan put his hand on the child's face as if to induce a Vulcan mind meld, and we know from the series Enterprise that Vulcans were actually a lot different during this time period as well. Initiating a mind meld, especially with another species, would have been forbidden by the Vulcan government of this time, as this is before the Serenite movement seen on the series Enterprise that leads to a less militaristic type of Vulcan we know and love. Yeah, if you can believe it, there was a time when Vulcans were even bigger buzzkills than the ones we have seen so far. But this could be a clue that the Vulcans we see in the trailer are not authorized by their government to make first contact with Earth. At this point, we also hear a woman's voice that turns out to be the new Borg Queen state how a single change can be vastly more dangerous than you realize, driving home the point that this change in the timeline may be the reason for the state of the universe. Next, we get a really intriguing shot of Q sitting down at a table with Brent Spiner and handing him something small and blue. This could be a hint that Q had a hand in the development of the positronic brain that led to the creation of data that only the Soong family knew how to create and replicate. It would also mean that since this technology does lead to the android body that Picard now lives in, that Q indirectly saved Picard's life hundreds of years before he even met him. If you remember, in the movie First Contact, the Borg Queen sent herself and a ship back in time to the actual First Contact event in order to destroy humanity, so this proves that First Contact is one of the most important events in humanity's history. I also want to talk about the Borg Queen for a second, as she is featured more prominently in this trailer. There are rumors that she plays a larger part in the third season of the show, which is filming now, but she definitely plays a part this season too, and it was believed that she is the one responsible for sending the cast back in time using the same technology we saw the Borg use in the movie First Contact. But at least to me, since it looks like the crew does not use Borg technology to time travel, I think the answer to why she is there can be found in the Star Trek Voyager series episode Timeless. In it, two members of the Voyager crew try to save the ship and the rest of the crew that had died 15 years earlier due to an accident with an experimental warp drive by sending a message through time that will help the crew avoid the accident. To do this, they find the ship and the frozen body of Seven of Nine to access her interplexing beacon with a Borg temporal transmitter that Starfleet salvaged from the wreckage of a Borg ship. This transmitter allowed the Borg to communicate with other drones through time, and seeing how in the Prime universe it had been in the possession of Starfleet, it stands to reason that this version of the organization has the same piece of technology. Perhaps taken from the same Borg cube, we see the Enterprise battle in the painting in Picard's study. In the Voyager episode, they wish to use the temporal transmitter to change events in the past that would erase the future created by the accident, which in a way is the same mission of the cast of Picard in the second season. So I believe that at some point they will come to visit the Borg Queen, who has also been captured, and gain access to this technology to help them change the new timeline. Then we get a lot of quick shots while Laris tells Picard that he has to let go of the past. But there is one really telling shot of a man firing a green phaser wearing what appears to be the same black uniform that Seven was seen wearing as well. You can see a lot of dark veins on his face and what could be an artificial eye, which leads me to believe that this is a human using Borg technology to augment himself. This could also mean that Starfleet, or whatever this organization is called, has developed a way to use Borg technology without being assimilated by it. If this were true, it would make sense that 7 of 9 be a part of this organization, as in the Prime universe, she was also a human with Borg technology that was no longer a part of the collective. Next we get a shot of Brent Spiner looking at a card. The emblem on it almost looks Vulcan to me, but a little different, and similar to the one we have seen on flags in earlier trailers. This scene is also taking place in the future, so apparently Mr. Spiner will be playing characters in the 21st and the 24th century this season. Then we see a lot more quick shots, until we get a really weird one, and that is Picard walking somewhere in California with what looks like the Slender Man behind him. I don't know who or what this character is, but I would love to hear your thoughts about it in the comments. Whoever he is, he scares the crap out of me. It almost looks like Death stalking Picard. Finally, we see Guinan and Picard share a drink while she says that he has one final frontier yet to come. Well, that was everything I saw, but let me know in the comments if I missed anything. Thank you very much for clicking on this video. Please hit that like button if you have enjoyed it, and I will see you next time on What Did I Miss?